If you stand inside the ruins of Pompeii and listen very, very hard, you can almost hear the creaking of cartwheels, the tumult of the marketplace, the echoes of Roman voices. Few modern visitors would care to conjure the ghost city's most appalling stench. Togas brightened by bleaching sulfur fumes, animal and human wastes flowing through the streets whenever it rained heavily. But over the many years that follow, the mystery of Pompeii only brings more intrigue to the world as discoveries go beyond simple artifacts of Roman life. Discoveries that could change the way you perceive the once magnificent city or cities surrounding Mount Vesuvius. But believe it or not, the stone bodies of Pompeii aren't what you think. They're not ancient, and they're not really bodies. So what are they?
More than 300 skeletons.
Pompeii, the biggest continuous archaeological site in the entire world, jam-packed with crumbling buildings and ancient artifacts dating back to ancient Roman times. The once thriving city, completely destroyed by Mount Vesuvius's volcanic eruption, has left a perfect snapshot of life 2,000 years ago. The city is divided by excavation digs and tourist sites, blending together old and new discoveries every day. 2018 seemed to be a big year for new discoveries within the ancient city of Pompeii, but the discoveries still continue to date. Excavations have been going on since 1728, but the city still has much to tell. Many of the new discoveries in the past have uncovered mysteries and helped to explain these past citizens. Back before its tragic demise, the city of Pompeii was a prosperous city established in 7th century BCE. It was seen as a holiday spot for the rich Romans, as well as being a huge trading hub due to its location right on the coast. Due to its trading wealth, the city used its resources to become a fashionable and sophisticated region, with elaborate villas, stylish shops, and foreign wonders up for grabs. The beauty, fashion, and adornments of Pompeii were all seen as impeccable, creating a completely glamorous profile. However, the reality of the poorer citizens were quite tragic, with slavery a common and legal process back in this time. Many foreign individuals were stolen from their homes and taken to Pompeii for trade, with the most common jobs for these slaves being in brothels, shops, or households. Despite the vast difference in lifestyle for the Pompeii people, they all died the same way, with the eruption killing an estimated 20,000 in 79 CE. Back in the day, the Pompeii people had no idea of their neighbor Mount Vesuvius's danger. In fact, it wasn't just Mount Vesuvius that was overlooked, but all volcanoes in general, with no word for them and their dangers even invented back then. Instead, the citizens merely thought of it as a large mountain and had no other reason to think otherwise. If they had known this fact before the 79 CE disasters, they might have realized the series of earthquakes that shook the area were warning signs. But the citizens brushed it off as they were used to the occasional tremor. It was not until the massive boom in which the volcano released tons of black smoke into the air did people realize their danger. Many tried fleeing, with some finding a way out in time. But for most, the waves of toxic pyroclastic flows led to their demise. These waves contained gas, ash, and rock, being so hot that they instantly burned the victims alive. Folk ran for their lives, but the waves gathered up speeds of 700 kilometers per hour, which were no match for the running citizens of Pompeii. The city was soon covered in a thick layer of ash and dirt, which soon hardened and hid the city from the rest of the world until rediscovery centuries later. Due to the layer of dirt protecting the ruins from decomposing, a large portion of the city still remains, with buildings, artifacts, and even skeletons found hidden away. Archaeologists are continuously digging the area for new discoveries, helping them know more and more about these ancient beings with every new discovery. A third of the lost city has still to be cleared of volcanic debris. The current dig, the biggest in a generation, is underlining Pompeii's position as the world's premier window on the people and culture of the Roman Empire. A wide residential and commercial block known as Region 9 is being cleared of several meters of overlying pumice and ash thrown out by Vesuvius. Region 9 has thrown up a detective story for archaeologists. Excavations in the late 19th century uncovered a laundry in one corner. The latest work has now revealed a wholesale bakery next door, as well as the grand residence with its black room, where stunning artworks have been uncovered. These frescoes are among the finest to be found in the ruins of the ancient site. Mythical Greek figures such as Helen of Troy are depicted on the high black walls of a large banqueting hall. In one, the god Apollo is seen trying to seduce the priestess Cassandra. Her rejection of him, according to legend, resulted in her prophecies being ignored. The tragic consequence is told in the second painting, in which Prince Paris meets the beautiful Helen, a union Cassandra knows will doom them all in the resulting Trojan War. The area was developed in the 1st century CE into product workshops and a laundry, with workbenches and basins for washing and dyeing clothes. Also constructed is a bakery with an oven and rooms for the processing of food products. 2 frescoes with scenes from Roman and Greek mythology have re-emerged, depicting Poseidon and Amymone in the first, and Apollo and Daphne in the second, in addition to traces of charred furniture due to a fire that broke out during the catastrophe. But beyond the remnants of Pompeii, what seems to strike people the most is seeing the stone bodies of the poor souls caught too off guard to escape their grisly fate. Except, here's the thing, that's not exactly what you're looking at. While the image of hot molten rock overcoming the ancient townspeople, eventually cooling and turning its victims into timeless facsimiles of themselves, is no doubt evocative, it's inaccurate. And in fact, if you had visited the site before the 1800s, those bodies would not have been there at all. So what actually did create these iconic figures? The truth is, they're not actually bodies at all, explained Mary Beard, professor of classics at the University of Cambridge. They are the product of a clever bit of archaeological ingenuity going back to the 1860s. There had been sporadic excavations of Pompeii going all the way back to the late 16th century. But it wasn't until this later period, under the direction of archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli, that the Pompeii we know today started to take shape. As these 19th century excavators worked their way through the layers of debris and ash that covered the site, they started to notice something strange, a series of distinct holes and cavities, sometimes containing human remains. What could they have been? In fact, these were the real bodies of the citizens of Pompeii, not the ashy models we're used to seeing today, but the voids in the lava where, once upon a time, some poor victim's shape held the lava open long enough for it to cool around their corpse. The material from the volcano that covered the bodies of the dead, setting hard and solid around them, Beard wrote, as the flesh, internal organs, and clothing gradually decomposed, a void was left, which was an exact negative imprint of the shape of the corpse at the point of death. It wasn't long before one bright spark saw that if you poured plaster of Paris into that void, you got a plaster cast that was an exact replica of the body, she added, but it's only a replica, more an antibody than a real body. In summary, those ancient, petrified bodies of Pompeii, they're not that. Neither ancient nor petrified, they're in fact modern plaster casts of the places where bodies once were. Which, by the way, is a good thing, or else we might not have as many of these stone people as we do. More than 160 bombs were dropped on the site in World War II, destroying much of the 20th century reconstruction that had taken place in the ancient city. But whether the stone bodies are actual bodies or not, they still instill the horror the volcanic violence created on an entire town frozen in time, its inhabitants baking bread, with friends, with family, living life. What do you think? Comment down in the section below and don't forget to like and subscribe.